on January 1st, 2007, and like many of my colleagues here, the first thought when my eyes opened that day was that Guantanamo is still open. In 2002, Guantanamo was illegal, and those of us at the center and our colleagues who filed the first case on behalf of detainees challenging their detention recognized that the laws on their face were illegal, that the imprisonment itself was illegal. In 2004, when I got to go to the base and finally meet with two British citizens who were imprisoned in isolation in Camp Echo, we again recognized that not only was the imprisonment illegal, but their isolation and their torture and abuse was illegal as well. It is 2007. At this point, Guantanamo has become not only a legal issue, but a moral failure. In 2007, our country is engaging in an act of immorality that is undeserving of our country and undeserving of humanity. I stand here as one of few civilian individuals who has been able to go to Guantanamo and sit across a table with a man who is shackled to the floor, who's been held for 5 years and had very little contact with his family. Standing amongst you are also other lawyers who have had the same experience. Some of us have had to have told men about the death of their parents over these 5 years, about the birth of children that they had not seen, and in some cases about the death of a child. In 5 years, a great deal of life goes by, and we have had to sit there with our clients and endure it. We have also had to listen to horrific stories of abuse, torture, humiliation, of desperate thoughts and depression, and a sense of growing hopelessness among the men in the prison. Men often who, when they first found themselves in the hands of the United States, had some hope that they would experience American justice. And in 2007, as we near 3 years after the Supreme Court decision granting them the right to a fair hearing, they are feeling quite desperate and depressed. And it's difficult for us to keep a sense of hopefulness with them. When we first went down in 2004, we encountered men who had no idea what was going on in the outside world and who had been held in extreme isolation that had driven many of them to madness. I returned from Guantanamo on December 23rd, 2006, and found that my clients that week were facing the exact same isolation, the exact same psychological stress that was making them struggle with their sanity. We now are seeing the opening of Camp 5 and Camp 6 and men being moved into metal cells with no books, nothing to pass their time, staring at walls and wondering what's going to happen to them. They are facing indefinite detention now, the same way they were in 2002. Iraq is not our only mistake as a country. Iraq is not the only problem that the Bush administration needs to correct. Guantanamo has been a legal failure, a moral failure, and a human rights failure. Legally, we have departed from traditions in our own country's legal system, not only habeas corpus, but also from traditional military law that has governed our Army for years. We have departed from traditional interrogation methods and intelligence gathering that has protected this country and moved into an environment where we are torturing individuals and getting inaccurate and false information and sending our soldiers or intelligence personnel to chase down rabbits. It has also been a massive human rights failure. According to the military's own statistics, only 92% of the men who've been held in Guantanamo were Al-Qaeda fighters. Only 92% of the men held in Guantanamo were not Al-Qaeda fighters, and these men have been detained for upwards of 5 years. If there are people in Guantanamo who should be tried, if there is a terrorist in Guantanamo, we have a military criminal system and a civilian criminal system that could give them a trial tomorrow. If anyone was ever convicted in Guantanamo, they could be held in one of many existing military prisons or civilian criminal prisons. We don't need the facade that Guantanamo is. Guantanamo has hurt our standing in the Middle East and Arab countries and people who we need to be our allies and colleagues in the war on terror, to help us with human intelligence in those regions. There is no reason in 2007 for Guantanamo to be open. It is unnecessary, it is ineffective, and it has been unconscionable. Thank you.
I haven't prepared any